Sword of Sargeras finally explained. Forget what you know. What sword? What is Doran talking about? Let's see what the truth teller has to say about what has been explained about the Sword of Sargeras.
So we got crazy new info that was just added, giving us huge
what sword?
hints on why Sargeras stabbed SILITHUS and Azeroth, for the first time ever confirming that there was a reason SILITHUS was stabbed in particular out of all the places
Told you
in the
guys,
world.
I got
We
3-hour
essentially
intros
confirmation that the Titans are in fact evil and might not even be that different than Sargeras, and that everything we know about Sargeras could be false as well. Even more interesting,
True.
we learn of a weapon that was bestowed upon Xal'atath in the ancient past to fulfill a purpose, hinting that the Void Lords might have had their influence on Azeroth more directly in the ancient past, and that Xal'atath might have been Plan B as the old gods had failed in their mission. All this is based on a new Easter egg dialogue that was just added a little while ago that is happening right next to the Sword of Sargeras. So what is all this new
I think we know about this one.
While playing WoW on PC is great, you can also check in on your characters directly from your phone. With this video sponsor, Awesome, you can control your PC with your phone completely free, as it is available for Windows, iOS, and Android. Check out my link in the description, download the PC version and the phone app, and just connect it. The free version itself is amazing, as you can control your desktop, transfer files, but the real deal is the game version. It has custom keyboards for various games other than just WoW, and you can enjoy AFK gaming at any time, anywhere, with game sound. Make sure to use my code DORAN to get 7 days completely free, only for the first 200 people. They also got a smart lock to turn off your PC at any time, as well as hot sales with up to 40% off on pro game versions. Check out Awesome.
There you go.
So we actually got some new information, not just speculations and what could be happening, but there is a whole bunch of new dialogue that at first glance is like a simple Easter egg, but it is actually
there's meaning.
foreshadowing.
There's definitely meaning behind this dialogue.
Sword, old gods, void, and what Sargeras was really planning. Now, to really quickly bring you up to speed, there is this void Twilight type orc called the Twilight Hermit. That is a bit of a crazy guy, and he's located in SILITHUS, and he was actually added back in BFA, so he has been in the game for quite a while. His main purpose at the time was that we brought the item called Wriggling Mask that we found on the island stations. We brought it to him, he had some dialogue, and for the longest time, this was one of the main speculations and information we had for Yashiraj, as he mentioned a goat and a pool. Previously, we also had an item called the Puzzle Box of Yogg-Saron that talked about a many-eyed goat laying in a pool of black water. Due to Yashiraj's design, he was referred to as a black goat with 7 eyes due to many eyes and goat-like horns, despite his Hearthstone design being a little bit different, but as you may know, that is not exactly canon. Now, where this orc comes to relevance is that when you bring the Wriggling Mask, he says that he saw the same visions we did, the goat, the pool, drowning in the icy black darkness, and how the end of the world is coming soon. However, he says the most important thing, and that he had these whispers that essentially drove him mad, that stopped when Sargeras stabbed Azeroth. And keep in mind, all this stuff is actually from BFA. Now, when you combine this with the new dialogue that was just added, it all starts making sense, and it is huge foreshadowing.
Very interesting that the whispers stopped for him when the sword came into Azeroth, but everyone else, it seems like that's when they started. That's when people started. That's when Bronzebeard, right, Mr. Pawn, Diamond Pawn, started to hear the whispers from Azeroth, and then it led to all these guys hearing it as well. I never really thought about that.
The entirety of the World Soul Saga. So, let me bring you up to speed on what is the new information. So, back in the November trading post, we got this item called Arsenal Cosmic Weapons Cache, and you got 5 really iconic weapons. 2 weapons are themed after the Sword of Sargeras, and obviously Dark Titan themed. We got 2 weapons based on the Titans and the Titan
I don't have any of these transmogs. I didn't buy any of them.
After Xal'atath, and someone realized that these new items actually prompted really interesting dialogue from this Twilight Doomsayer guy right next to the Sword of Sargeras and SILITHUS that we previously thought was just a crazy guy, but now he might actually have some information. There might be something to this end of the world that he has been going on about. So, first off, when you arrive with the Sargeras transmog, he says that you should not have brought that here. How he warned us in the past that the end of the world is coming and that this sword is proof and that the energy in our sword is the exact same that coursed through the massive sword stuck in SILITHUS. However, after this, we essentially have a huge confirmation that Sargeras chose SILITHUS by chance. His crusade sought to eradicate all life, and that the final act before being captured by the Pantheon was chosen with great precision, and obviously for a reason we are yet to learn. Now, I want to say a few things.
There's interesting stuff, like Wajo was saying, about Sargeras. So he said Sargeras is still a Titan at heart. The Hermit says that he still has a pattern to his plan and to what he does. I'm under the impression that there is an original being of disorder, because Sargeras was originally a being of order. So it doesn't make sense for him to be the strongest thing in the domain of disorder. Yeah, I agree. Look, there's one thing that we found out about World of Warcraft, certainly in the universe, is there are opposite forces to every force. So if there are beings of order, there are certainly beings of disorder. Now, who is the equivalent to Sargeras? I'm not sure in terms of the disorder side of things. But I never thought that Sargeras was trying to bring about disorder. He wasn't. He was destroying entire planets to try to bring about order because he thought the Void was going to take him over. So it's interesting to look at that and think, why was he aiming at SILITHUS? I don't think he was just trying to destroy the planet. He was trying to do something. And we're going to figure that out.
In regards to this, and this is that you might say, like, this is just an opinion of some random, crazy orc that doesn't even know what he's talking about. Obviously, the guy is unreliable. It's not like Sargeras told us this, but let's be real. Something is definitely happening with the sword. I mean, they literally wore the sword shirts on BlizzCon. The main cinematic is right next to the sword. The entire 3 expansions are called the World Soul Saga.
I did play back
We're
in
getting
2005,
whispers near it. I mean, they literally just added this new dialogue after the announcement. So it's pretty safe to say that Sargeras' stabbing wasn't him just randomly stabbing Azeroth in whatever place out of pure spite. There was logic behind this, and this confirms it. And we also had in cinematic like it was aimed at someone. However, the other dialogue is, in my opinion, even more interesting, so let's combine it and see how it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So, after this, when you come with the 2 Titan swords, the orc says that the blade profanes this place, and how a weapon like that is just inviting destruction. Keep in mind, all of this is happening in SILITHUS right next to the sword. This means that the Titan weapons are causing a bit of an opposite effect of swords. As he says, the Titans only care about their order, and that they will sacrifice even their own followers to achieve it. Obviously, this is nothing new. I mean, something they have been foreshadowing since forever, but this is just further confirmation that Titans bad. However, they say something that is even bigger foreshadowing for setting up the Titans as villains. So even though Sargeras was crazy, he still had that Titan order pattern of precision and logic where ends kind of justify the means. He kind of twisted that logic, not to order worlds, but to destroy them. However,
destroy the world before it becomes disordered. That was Sargeras' plan all along. That's what he was doing. Every time he visited a planet, even if it was orderly at the time, he was like, well, this will eventually fall into disorder, and how do I stop that from happening? Destroy it. That was his way of going about things. And that's why I think something changed along the way when he came to Azeroth, or, you know, his feuding with his siblings, whatever it was. Something changed where his stabbing motion was not an aim to destroy. It was an aim to do something else. And even the conversation with this guy that we're talking about now, this NPC, says that he chose SILITHUS for a reason, right? That was why he stabbed there. It wasn't, if he was just going to destroy the world, it wouldn't matter what spot he hit. He would just destroy it. But he wasn't trying to. What was he trying to do?
The orc says
he was trying to free Azeroth.
Is not actually that different than the supposedly crazed Titan. The only different method, but not the goal, and that Sargeras may not be as crazy as we think. Sure, the Pantheon are not the devil, they don't look like the devil like Sargeras does, but they may be just as evil, if not more. Personally, I don't think this really adds anything new to why the sword is here, but it kind of confirms that Sargeras may not be who we think he is, and that the Pantheon may not be so different than him. There is definitely a lot more to the backstory that we know, the lore where the Titans good, they plant life, and they order the planet, and Sargeras, this bad guy, he wants to destroy everything, he's just one crazy guy, he's smashed like this.
I don't think so. Yeah, he's definitely not one crazy guy. If he wasn't trying to destroy the planet, why is Azeroth say, I'm dying? Does she say I'm dying in the cinematic? I mean, she is kind of bleeding out maybe, but I'm dying. I don't know about... Did she say that? I don't remember that. Tough crowd? Yeah, Pawn Star. My chat is filled with degenerates who just want to fucking play WoW. Just want to be bitches all the time. What am I going to do? This is the crowd I built. Yeah. When the canon content directly contradicts the theories, they are no longer theories. They are just innate. When did she say she was dying, Cadence? I know Mr. Diamond Pawn said that, you know, but I don't know if we've ever heard Azeroth directly say she's dying. Break her prison or pump Argus full of energy back into her, one or the other, maybe. I came across a video about it. I played it too and then remembered it. Yes, yeah. No doubt they did that. In the War Within announcement cinematic, where does she say she's dying? When does she say she's dying? She never says I'm dying. Where? We hear her calling out Anduin. She whispers Anduin.
Anduin.
Yeah. Right, she whispers Anduin. The second whisper happens right here when they both hear it. Right here.
Like a voice from a dream. Something dark is coming, Anduin. The world needs your light again.
Yeah, where?
My son.
Great moment here. Yeah, we know this happens. Okay, when do they hear the voice again? Right here. Emotional, awesome.
Hear me.
She says, hear me. So all we hear her say is Anduin and hear me. Where the hell did you hear I'm dying? Tripping. Straight tripping. I need some smoke what you're having.
There is definitely more going
Never
on.
happened.
However, guys, we got the most interesting dialogue in regards to Xal'atath, and finally more information on who Xal'atath is.
Now,
that
the
we
theory
can learn
holds.
From that
She ain't
isn't just
dying.
speculation.
She's
So
waking
when you
up.
come with the
Needs
Void
to be
Song,
freed
the
from her
Stave
prison.
of the Harbinger, the Orc, as a Void-crazed follower, says he immediately hears the whispers. He gives us more information on what the staff is, and almost spills the beans on Xal'atath's master plan, which is obviously yet another bit of foreshadowing. The Orc says that this weapon is ancient, dating back to the primordial times where the whole of Azeroth was ruled by the Black Empire, much like the one we saw in that vision at the start of the Dragonfight where we heard N'Zoth's new whispers.
By the way, he goes on to call the Black Empire beautiful in his line. He goes, it was beautiful.
Here, he makes it super vague, like all the old god lore. Apparently, masters bestowed gifts upon the faithful, their servants, and that the Harbinger in the ancient past got this gift in order to, one day, she can, and then he is stopped by this presence and the whispers from it, not letting us hear the actual plan. Now, I've talked about this a million times.
Yeah, he gets shut up, so something stops him, and he literally, you know, he says, I wasn't going to tell them. Yeah, that's it. He goes, what? No, I was not going to tell them. So he was about to tell us what the plan was of the Harbinger, who we know is Xal'atath. And then all of a sudden he gets tongue-tied and it says, the Orc grows silent as if chastised by some unseen presence.
Plan. Now,
yeah, he almost told us the end of the expansion.
Times, but let me just state that they made this Masters world purposefully vague because it kind of reads like the old gods bestow the weapons because we're talking about the Black Empire, but it could also be the Void
Lords.
If you followed my other Xal'atath videos, you might remember the sort of hidden Blizzard interview where they confirmed that Xal'atath is not an old god, is very likely older than the old gods, she doesn't like them, and has a different plan as opposed to the old gods.
She is the Harbinger.
This means that the Masters were the Void Lords, and if these are Void Lords, it means they had a more hands-on approach on Azeroth when the Black Empire was around, which obviously changes the lore quite a bit. It has some huge implications. If the Void Lords gave this staff to Xal'atath to one day do something, it might mean that the old gods were not sufficient, and remember, previously, in an interview, Blizzard hinted that the old gods might have rebelled, so Xal'atath might have been their plan B, a bit more of a mobile secret services type approach to corrupting Azeroth instead of
a Silver Surfer. I've said it before. She is a Harbinger. She's a bringer of something. She brings about something. So that's what she is. Now, maybe if she does bring about this thing, it'll end Azeroth or do something, and the old gods didn't want that because they were enjoying their time on Azeroth. If you know the lore of the old gods, basically what they are is the Void Lords spit them out into the universe with no true target or anything. They just hope that they'll land on something, right? So they fly around, and then eventually they land on Azeroth. A couple of them do. And they start corrupting and digging in and, you know, growing deeper into the planet and all that stuff. And eventually maybe create, you know, some type of empire. They create a civilization, whatever it is. They go about, they just kind of do their own thing. The Void Lords just spit them out just to find whatever's out there. So this Harbinger might be more directly aligned with their plans, though. She might be the one who actually brings about what the Void Lords want, whereas the old gods were kind of just like feelers, just being thrown out there and seeing what they can find.
Of the old gods that was like a brute force black empire
bringers.
plan. Now when it comes to why Sargeras actually stabbed Azeroth with the sword,
She could be a sixth old god, yeah.
Well, most importantly, this was
Or
calculated.
fifth old god.
He knew the exact spot he wanted to stab. I made a few predictions in the past that I do think still make sense. One is that he might have aimed at Kazlagar, which is like the entrance to the World Soul, which is pretty much next door to SILITHUS, and he hit SILITHUS instead, which could be possible.
Maybe.
You can't have
Misfired a little bit.
with a sword that big. The other is that as we recently had some hints that Zelda has been gathering the old gods to complete the awakening, she got everyone apart from Khatoon, so she has 3 old gods in her hand. Sargeras might have known about this plan in advance, and he might have aimed at Khatoon in order to stop this from happening. Now,
He might have tried to
previously,
destroy
I thought
any remnant
this was
of
like the
Khatoon.
least like a scenario because Khatoon is not
Maybe.
that important, but remember what the orc said. He stopped getting the whispers when the sword was plunged into SILITHUS, meaning he might have actually ended Khatoon and kind of ruined or delayed Zelda's plan. Now, another
Maybe.
super like theory is that the
Can
entire Azeroth
always
is a
use
prison. You might have heard
another
about this theory.
Alex, man, thank you. 4 in a row. Thank you so much for the Prime sub, man. I appreciate that. Death Knight of
I
our
got a
Scourge.
whole video in great
Thank
detail
you.
if you want to learn what is going on because it is a super.
He aimed for the heart of the
intriguing
chamber
theory, but
directly,
few things
maybe.
are obvious. I mean, we got the last Titan logo, the elemental prism from Dragonflight. This fits perfectly. It looks exactly the same. One
Yeah,
of the
see,
theories
if you look at any of these prisons in this, by the way, which is exactly what Azeroth is being kept in. I've shown images side by side. She is for sure in one of these prison balls. But if you look at them, they finally like explode.
The last
I
Titan
mean, look, the last Titan logo is the freaking prison ball. But if you look at these rings,
logo, the elemental prism.
these
from
prisons explode when these rings stop moving. So they're in movement, right? They're constantly moving and rotating around. The second they stop, the orb explodes and the prison breaks open. I thought he was trying to put his sword and jam the rings in between, break a ring or jam a ring, stop it from rotating. So that way it eventually leads to the, you know, breaking of the prison and the freeing of
One of the
Azeroth.
theories going around in the community is that these rings had been destroyed over time and that Sargeras aimed at one of them. This makes sense for multiple
Rotating
reasons.
rings.
First is that since he stabbed Azeroth, we got a whole bunch of weird
He got one,
actions,
but not
like
the other. Yeah,
awakening
I think
actions
so.
that gradually started happening from the Azerite to the Dragon Isles coming to now the recent whispers everyone is hearing across Azeroth. Furthermore, these might be the
Chat's
whispers the
vicious.
orc has been talking about, although not sure why they would stop. Maybe they were really void whispers that Sargeras had put an end to. However, this at the moment is the most likely theory, albeit keep in mind it is based on a lot of speculation, so if one part is not true, the entire thing might crumble, but it would actually make a lot of sense. I mean, it fits the entire Titans are bad, they created a prison, and it fits the plan for Sargeras as well, as this prison is what might have held the entire life balance in the universe, so Sargeras would still be
There's a
evil
prison
if
for
he didn't
something.
do this out of the kindness of his heart. He didn't want to save Azeroth and free her because
Yeah.
he was against the prison. He wanted
I don't think Sargeras is a good guy, okay? There's lots of theory. Oh, Sargeras is actually the good guy. No, he's not the good guy. He's just a bad guy who was fighting bad guys, right? He's a bad guy who was against his Titan siblings who are also bad guys. That's it. I don't think either side has our back or our best interests at heart. It's just he was kind of trying to mess up their plans, maybe. They have a plan to keep Azeroth asleep because she's dangerous for some reason, and he was trying to muck that up. That's what I think was happening.
wanted to destroy the planet, and this prison must have been created for a purpose. However, even more importantly, the Titans are also not the good guys. I mean, they must have built the prison for some reason, and that is what the orc meant with the saying they're just as bad. They just use different methods. They might not split planets in two with a giant sword, but instead they build fail-safe mechanisms that can explode the entire planet.
Yeah, re-origination chambers and stuff like that.
They also brainwash everyone. Thank you for watching. Check out the restoration of the city in Lordon in Midnight by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, great video. We definitely know a lot of this stuff already. We talked about a lot of this and what that NPC in SILITHUS has to say. Sargeras a good guy? No. Aiming his sword for a specific reason to mess up some plans of the other Titans, maybe wake up Azeroth? Yeah. I certainly see that being the case, and we're going to find a lot more about that in the expansions going forward.